FedEx ship?
Okay, we're back.
I think so.
Yes, they should. UPS definitely does. Why? What's up? You buy some crazy stuff over there? Ship back home? There? Yeah. FedEx should ship internationally. Sorry, we're back. Apparently, we can only record for 45 minutes. I don't know why. So, you guys talk to me. What are some of the things that you found in the reading? Particularly in pages 26 through 38. Some things that you guys found. Go ahead.
It's interesting they have like counselors.
Yeah.
Like personal counselors starting at what did it say in there? Can't remember where. Oh, here it is. During their 3-year lower secondary school, all students are entitled to 2 hours a week of educational guidance and counseling.
Yes. What page is that on?
33, second paragraph.
Oh yeah, and it's career counseling. So they're really talking to them now about, hey, these are all the jobs that you can do. You've taken multiple tests. We want you to know and understand and realize these are your options. But these aren't all of your options. You always have other options available. But they really go through and do this great career guidance counseling, which is pretty fascinating because we don't do it until usually our junior year of high school. You know,
career day.
Career day, exactly. Hey, well, what do you want to do? This is great. You know, instead of having a true idea of what we want to do and where we want to go, a lot of us in high school are like, we get to the college level and we're like, I don't know what I want to do. I think I want to be a teacher.
Well, and the average rate of changing your major?
It's 5 times.
Yeah.
Yep, 5 times before you're a junior. So imagine how much time and money we could all save if we truly knew what we wanted to do by the time we graduated, right? Like these kids do.
Don't they do like a 2-week internship as part of their education?
Yes, they absolutely do. On page, where did it go? Page 30. Page 30, kind of right in the middle of the page, right before the second paragraph, the last sentence, it says, as a part of the overall career guidance curriculum, each student in Peruskulu spends 2 weeks in a selected workplace. And so that's also very, very good. Very different than what we have. Because, again, we don't normally spend 2 weeks until college, right? When we do our job shadows and things like that.
Not even then. I mean, in high school it was a day.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you get connected to the right high school or to the right teacher, for sure, yeah.
Well, like in teacher ed program, we only do a 20-hour practicum up until you hit methods blocks, and then you maybe get your 48-hour practicums. By then, I mean, you're like a junior, senior even.
Yeah. Exactly. So you don't really get your 2-week experience until you're student teaching, right? And as unfortunate as it is, I've only been here for 4 years. Yeah, this is my 4th year. I've had 3 students who have decided, teaching's not for me. After they spent 4 years in college and all that money thinking they wanted to be a teacher. So this is a great idea to get them that experience and seeing what the work is about and that kind of thing, right? It's a great idea.
I like their semester setup. Instead of 2 annual semesters, 5 or 6 periods per school year.
Right. And I'm still trying to figure out if they have full school all year long. I'm pretty sure they do. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That is, and I think the book mentions this, but that whole forgetting everything over the summer, being allowed to forget, they don't ever have that because they basically have 2-week chunks here and there. And then they're expected to come back and still remember what they just learned previously.
I think that's a lot better, honestly. 2 weeks at a time, you get off. Well, you do like 8 weeks of course, and then you get 2 weeks off. Versus doing like 9 months and then getting 3 months off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, kids get bored during the summer anyways.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're all of these things. You guys are exactly right. Yeah. Here in America, the whole notion of full year school is mind-boggling to people. And it's like, but you don't understand, like, as far as the rest of the world's concerned, and I know that everybody's like, but we're America, and this is how we do school, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but when the research says, and there is a lot of research out there that says year-long school is very, very beneficial to your students, maybe we should start taking a look at some of that, right?
Do you think it changes, like, because America, I don't know if other countries have to have this too, but America seems to have, like, a lot of behavioral issues and that type of thing. Like, do you think it's based on, like, how the school systems are set up and, like, how things are ran?
I think that's part of it. But you're talking about a systemic problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a school problem. It's not just a parent problem. It's not just a socioeconomic problem. All of those are pieces of a much bigger issue. If you can figure that out, Keely, you get to become the next billionaire. Because you what?
Get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, no kidding, for sure. So yeah, it doesn't help, that's for sure, because usually students who have behavior problems, they need patterns, they need structure, they need the same thing day after day. So when you get off for 3 months,
they get to do whatever they want all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
Months, and then they come back to school and they don't get that.
By the end of those 3 months, they're finally into that rhythm of not doing anything, and then you're switching it up again.
I would say it takes a month for students to get into a habit.
Exactly.
That's why the first month of school is usually the worst.
Routines,
Is because you're trying to reset their routines, and especially younger kids, is that they get they've already had 3 months of getting into a routine. You try and take a month of getting out of it. I mean, it's a nightmare.
I mean, I noticed with my kids, even over Christmas break,
Yes.
it's like, okay, you get to stay up an extra 30 minutes. The next day, it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry I did that.
Yeah.
Sorry, your nap time for everyone. It absolutely is. And then you look at family life, because generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, there are usually some kind of family issues. So now you talk about sending a kid home for the summer, and they don't want to be at home, because home is actually worse than school. Even though their life is miserable at school because they're acting out and all that kind of stuff, they're going to start acting out even more because they don't want to go home to school for the summer. So yeah, it does not help the problem. And I hope I answered your question as best I could, because if I knew the answer to that question, I would be the next billionaire. So there's that. But yeah, year-round school definitely has its benefits, and there are lots of countries in the world that have recognized that, and their students go to school year-round.
Isn't it in Japan? I think someone was telling me, and I read somewhere that like the first couple of years of school, they focus like strictly on morals and ethics.
I'm not sure. I don't know much about the Japanese education program. It wouldn't surprise me.
And then after like how many ever years of that, then they go into actual academics, and they say it's like so much better.
Well, yeah,
the teachers and the students.
Exactly. And then you have this sense of pride in other countries where your students get into the school and they already know how to read and write. They already know how to do some math. They already know how to do whatever else, okay? We don't necessarily see that in our country. In our country, we basically send our students off to school and you teach them.
Right.
You teach them.
Your job, we pay
your
tax money.
Instead of the parents taking that sense of pride and that sense, I'm not going to send my kid to school behind everyone else. My kid's going to be the top kid in school, that kind of thing.
Right.
That mindset, absolutely. That mindset is very different here in America than there is elsewhere in the world. And then people ask questions about, why are we 39th in our math testing and 40th in our language testing or science or whatever it is? Gee, I wonder. They're just some interesting questions to ask, which are beyond the scope of this class. I mean, I could talk to you guys for hours about that kind of stuff, but I shall not. What else do you want to talk about from those pages?
They are not in age cohorts. They're in different organizationals. So I think that's really beneficial.
You're absolutely right. Because it's not necessarily based on age so much as it is based on ability. When are they actually ready to move on? And anytime I talk to parents about that, they become, especially here in America, they become afraid. Well, what if my 5-year-old is with an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
So
What if?
Yeah.
I don't want that 8-year-old influencing my 5-year-old kid. And it's like,
They're more mature.
but yeah, exactly. It's all about perspective, and that teacher being there, and making sure that there is no one being taken advantage of, and that kind of stuff. It's just really an interesting concept, and I think I've actually been a big proponent of that for a long time. When I first started teaching at the middle school, I suggested that to my middle school principal, and he.
Oh yeah.
That's radical. You can't do that. No way. Okay, whatever. That's fine.
Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Keely, you were gonna say something.
Just like kind of we've been talking about it in general, but like how each student has like an IEP and it's all individualized and personalized specifically for that student.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just 1 second. Talk amongst yourself about that very thing. Did you guys hear it? Did you guys hear it?
No.
Oh, tell them again.
There's a kid.
The IEP thing.
How it's very individualized.
No, I think that's fantastic. Like, I read that and I don't know. I'm not a special education major, but like that made me like super interested in just learning more about it and how you could even apply that as just a general education classroom teacher, and not necessarily maybe having IEP, like actual IEPs, but sitting down with your students and be like, these are our goals. This is what kind of student you are. Where do we go from here? And just being more of an individualized teacher.
Yeah, like I don't remember if it was chapter 1 or chapter 2, but you're talking about like how America views special education as like disabilities, but they see it more as like each student's like area of weakness, like what they need to work on.
Oh, and I loved how they worded that every student, every person has areas and times when they struggle, and that's no reason to say that label them as special ed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, their view of special ed is totally different, and that is more in chapter 2 for sure. So we will get into that. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay, so your job, if you haven't done it already, for the next week is to read chapter 2.
Okay.
So, like I said, we'll get to chapter 2, and I think we'll probably pick up, and it'll probably make a little more sense to you, because it is talking more about the education itself, okay? The educational system. So we will get into that. Read that, do your discussion question, which I will post probably later tonight. So those of you at home, expect it. I will post these videos as soon as I can. Like I said, a 45-minute video takes about double that time to post it, so it takes a little bit. But do the discussion questions, read chapter 2, and I will see you guys next Monday. All right? Have a good one.